And guess what it becomes? It becomes about doing it again.
Oh.
The NFL is a what have you done for me lately league, and there's nothing that'll make everybody really forget about last week than going right back to week 1 and week 2 this week. Right? To quote Dennis Cox again, who you just heard, anyone can have a great moment.
Mm-hmm.
Can you sustain it? And I'm always worried about, I am always worried about game 2. Because I talk about the one-game bump. You put in Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton's the beloved backup quarterback. Everybody's best friend on the team. He's the guy that gets to, talk in the back of class and razz everybody because he's not the starting quarterback. So then when he gets to become the starting quarterback, everybody loves him. Everybody rallies around him. Everybody plays harder for him. Matter of fact, Adam Thielen will work so hard to catch a pass for Andy Dalton that he pops his hamstring in the process. Now, going into week 2, it's not like rally around this guy. He's the new guy. It's all right. Let's see if we can do it again. And by the way, if you watched Monday Night Football last night, you're going to get an angry Bengals team. Specifically an angry Bengals offense who has people questioning Joe Burrow today, despite the fact that the Bengals offense didn't punt and didn't have any turnovers. The only time they didn't come away with points was a missed field goal. Every other drive they scored, yet now they're putting up with people talking bad about them. They're going to be a little incensed coming into Carolina this weekend on a short week. So how are you going to be ready for that? First of all, let's look at what you learned this past weekend. You learned to stay committed to the run. You learned that 21 carries for one Chuba Hubbard is healthy. You learned to do what you can to make that happen. You learned Michael Jackson, not that Michael Jackson, Michael Jackson, the cornerback, owns the corner spot opposite J.C. Horn. 9 tackles and a key interception. All right, you're starting to solidify some defensive positions that were in flux. Still some that are also in flux, but Michael Jackson locked down that other corner spot until further notice. You learned Deontay Johnson is your number 1 wide receiver. And that's no disrespect to the other wide receivers that made plays. Xavier Legette caught a nice little deep crosser and took off, did something with it after the catch. I mentioned Adam Thielen, but now he's hurt. Jonathon Mingo made plays both with the ball and blocking. But there was something different about Deontay Johnson. 120-plus yards, career high. He's your number 1. You learn the offensive line can be trusted, and that goes back to games 1 and 2. Particularly the interior of that offensive line, you solved the problem last year. These are all tangible things you learned. These are like game plan-y things that you learned. There's also this glaring intangible thing you learned. The Panthers are officially a confidence team. And what I mean by that is when they have confidence, they play better. And that might be everybody, but there's also something to be said for certain teams don't seem to wake up until their confidence is shattered. They got to taste their own blood before they start punching back. Bengals might be that team, by the way. Bengals seem to start every single year 0-2 and then have to scrap their way back. So there are different strokes for different folks. The Carolina Panthers scoring on their first drive changed everything. Right? That pivot point. That point where everything, suddenly the world opened up. The Wizard of Oz, right? Suddenly everything's in color. Your team plays great when they have reason to be confident. It's also time to prepare and understand what happens if you get down 10. What happens if the first drive is a 3-and-out? There's nothing about football that is guaranteed. Right? I learned this, whatever. It started with all the Amazon advanced stats on Thursday night. Now ESPN is doing them. I don't know if you saw this. The completion by Jaden Daniels to Terry McLaurin last night had a 10.2% chance of completion, and it was the lowest possible completion of any completion this year. When the throw was made based on the defense and on and on and on. All those advanced analytics. Even wide open receivers downfield aren't 100% completion. Amazon will jump on with those numbers and be like, it was an 87-point completion, and it was likely, however, not guaranteed. There's nothing in football that is guaranteed. Nothing. So what if you go out there, you call the right play, right? Dave Canales does his thing as a play caller. Andy Dalton does his thing as the quarterback, makes a good decision. Line gives him time. The wide receiver gets open, and for whatever reason, the 87% doesn't happen. The 13% happens, and you kick. You got to punt, 3 and out. Can you rally the type of confidence you had on Sunday when let's be real. Sunday was one of those days. And I'm not talking about the bad one of those days. I'm talking about the good one of those days. You woke up, you're like, oh, man, I forgot to do laundry. Your significant other already had your towel in the dryer to be toasty when you get out of the shower. You walk downstairs, you went, oh, man, I forgot we had to get eggs. Turns out you had 4 more in the carton. Let's go. Right? Just one of those days where everything, you drove to work, you hit green light, green light, green light, green light, green light.
Love those days.
It was a good day on Sunday from the opening kick. That's not going to happen every week. You're not going to have that artificial confidence of everything breaking your way every game. Matter of fact, some would say the measure of a good team is the ability to win when you have your C-plus game. The Max Scherzer, that's what I always call it. Max Scherzer can show up in his prime, and he can be like, I do not have my A game as a pitcher. I can't control my curve, right? My fastball is sinking on me. I don't know why. By the time he's walking off the mound, he gave you 7 2/3 of 2-run baseball. He just grinded his way to a great outing. That's the next for the Panthers. If you're building off of Sunday, I don't want to say anyone can have what happened Sunday happen, but there's a lot of teams out there that when you score on your first drive, when your running game is working at a high clip, when everything's kind of coming together, and you can just sense the positivity. Which we had a lot of, by the way. Like I'm not saying we weren't part of the positivity. You can go listen to our Monday sound off yesterday. Fans were excited. Enjoy it. But the intangible element of the Panthers is, can you get there by sheer force of will? Did Sunday give you enough confidence that you'll remain confident through adversity this upcoming Sunday? Because make no mistake about it, Washington beat the Bengals. Mm-hmm. The first touchdown the Bengals had looked about as easy as it could possibly be.
Yeah.
The routes, and it's hilarious if you go back and watch. It was a touchdown to Jamar Chase down the left side. They had 2 wide receivers in the route. Guess what they each ran? Straight. It was just goes, just 2 goes. It's about as disrespectful as a play call as you can have. Just 2 wide receivers, run straight down the field. It's like you're playing recess again, and you just look to your 2 fast buddies and go deep. And it worked. And Jaden Daniels in Washington did not get down on themselves. They didn't lose their confidence. Jaden Daniels is one of those weird guys. We're going to have to talk about him at some point. He's like borderline smiling on the sideline because he's so comfortable in those situations. About to get leveled, has to make a beautiful pass with no time on the clock. He's just like, here we go. Boom. How much of that did the Panthers have? In addition to the schematic things that they did so well, in addition to Andy Dalton being accurate, in addition to the tangible things, your team plays really, really good when they believe in themselves. Can you make sure you believe in yourself even after facing adversity? Because it's not like, hey, we had a good game too. Now we're just going to be ahead 14 for the rest of the year. You're going to get behind, and you're going to want to win those games too.